very good morning to all present here. So, can I have the presentation, please? Yeah, so I will be speaking about creating business opportunities in food processing through value addition by technological interventions. So this is our institute, which is situated in Mysuru. We have around 3 resource centers in Lucknow, Hyderabad, as well as Mumbai. We are an ISO and NABL accredited organization, and we are in existence since 1950. So, when you look at why should we even create business opportunities, just look at the food business. Globally, you find that the food and beverage industry constitutes around 30% of the world economy. So it makes sense to have a food business, and it runs into trillions of US dollars. Another very interesting fact is India is among the top 3 producers. You take any material, whether it is seeds, whether it is grains, even animal products, we are amongst the top 3 producers in the world. And further, there is a huge market because we are 1.4 billion people today. So whether we think of exports or we think of the domestic market, there is a huge opportunity that is there. And it is very fast growing. The demography is changing. In the urban areas, you find that everybody is going out to work. There is less time for cooking or to process food at home. So more and more people are looking at processed food industry. And also it is a consumer-driven market. So there is a huge demand for on-the-go snacks. People don't want to spend too much time even eating the food, so they want to just have a snack. They are also looking at the environmental implications. Again, if you look at food packaging especially, it forms a huge amount of single-use plastic is used. And almost 50% of the single-use plastic is used for food packaging. In that, not even 10% is recycled. So there is a huge amount of junk that we are generating, which is either going as landfills or it is going into our water bodies. That is having a lot of, plastic has this ability only to break up, not break down. So when you don't have the ability to break down, what happens, smaller and smaller pieces of the same molecules are there, which is called microplastics. And today we are finding throughout the food chain, it is present. And it is predicted by 2050 or so, there will be more plastic than fish in the oceans. So there is a huge environmental problem also. Therefore, there is a demand for eco-friendly packaging and so on. And people, especially the younger generation, doesn't mind spending more money on the food if the packaging is eco-friendly. Also, anytime we talk of food, around 30% of the food that is produced goes waste globally, which means that there is a huge amount of greenhouse gases that are also produced during the recycling process. Now, again, coming back to India, although we are the top 3 producers in most of the food agricultural produce, 60% of our population is dependent on agriculture. So if we want to better the livelihood of the people who are dependent on agriculture, it makes sense to process food because that value adds. So, but look at the kind of export that we are doing. Most of the produce is only primarily processed. That means we are only kind of sorting, grading, packing, and selling. So there is not much value added. The minute you convert the food that is produced into some kind of a product, It could be a jam, it could be a nutraceutical kind of encapsulated tablet or anything like that. You are adding a lot of value to it. Tenfold, hundredfold the value increases. But whatever is produced, if you are simply separating it out and you are removing the chaff and you are seeing that it is whole and packing it, you are not adding much value to it. That means the producer, the farmer is not getting much for his produce. So further, because food is perishable, a lot of wastage will also happen. So if you are able to process the food, you can extend the shelf life, which means that your waste is reduced. Now, this kind of processing where you are converting from the grain or whatever is the agricultural produce to a product, that comes under secondary and tertiary processing. And at each step of processing, you are adding higher value. And further, there is a lot of scope today even to utilize the byproducts that are there to recover certain molecules which have even higher value. And if that can be done, probably your food itself is kind of free to the producer or the processor. And we are also, like I said earlier, looking at the environmental impact and trying to optimize the processing so that we have a circular economy and the kind of damage it does to the environment is reduced considerably. So this is one example of tomato. We keep reading in the newspapers at certain seasons you find that there is a glut in the market and the farmer does not find it profitable to even bring it to the mandi. He just throws it on the roadside. But if you look at even one such food, you find that there are any number of products that we can make from just one tomato. Even from the peel, even from the seeds, every single part of it can be utilized, and that will give a lot of value. Unfortunately, we have not been able to do this, which has resulted in huge amount of wastage. Add to that, a lot of labor is going into it, money is going into it for the production, but ultimately we are not realizing the returns. So if we are able to process, it makes sense because we are creating jobs, we are reducing the wastage, which automatically comes to profits. We can export the excess products. We are naturally increasing the shelf life through processing, and probably some of the molecules that we recover during this whole process are very niche molecules which have a global demand. And therefore, if we are able to do all this, automatically there is a demand created for this particular crop, and the farmers will automatically get higher incomes, and even the environmental damage can be reduced. So I'm just giving one example of one crop. For each and every crop, this is applicable. So now coming to how do you actually create business opportunities, the food business especially is consumer driven. So we need to look at the food business from that perspective, that is the consumer perspective, and see how it is evolving. And you'll find that people are having a lot of disposable income. They are willing to spend more provided it is giving them nutritious food, it is safe, it is convenient, probably it has a health benefit, it can increase your immunity and so on. The recent pandemic is an example where everybody was after immune foods. So one is increased spending is increasingly being seen in society. More and more families have become nuclear. There are lesser people who can be homemakers and who are able to cook for the family. Therefore, they are more and more dependent on processed foods. There is a demand for functional foods. What are functional foods? These are foods which give you a health benefit. So there were many minor components in food which we thought were not nutrients, and therefore the food processor continuously removed these layers of the grain and they threw it away. But very recently, maybe the past 30, 40 years, more and more we have realized that these components of food, it could be fiber, it could be polyphenols, it could be any other molecule which are there, like phytosterols, all of these have health benefits. So more and more value is being given to them, and because the health cost has become very prohibitive, none of us want to fall sick. There are neither caretakers in the house, nor are we able to afford hospital rates. So we are looking at our diet and food to remain healthy. So there is a demand for this. And further, there is increased urbanization and lifestyle changes. Many of us are diabetic today. 1 in 4 in India is diabetic. We are the global leaders of cardiovascular disease. We lead sedentary lifestyles, which is not helping, and so on. So again, if you look at the packaged food market in India alone, it is $1 trillion market, and it is growing. So coming to what are the markets in the food itself. So earlier we were just looking at food to eat something to give us energy, to give us protein, to give us fat, extra calories, some micronutrients, vitamins. But depending on the age, the gender, the kind of lifestyle, the kind of health status we have, maybe somebody is a sports person, maybe somebody is pregnant, somebody is a lactating mother, somebody is elderly. All of these people are looking for niche products which will help them to have a quality life till the last day on earth. So because the RDA changes, depending on your lifestyle and the age, we need to design foods which will cater to these sectors specifically. So this is called personalized nutrition, and more demand is being created for such foods. And in the area of protein, I've just given an example. You will find they're all billion-dollar markets. So if we are able to create such foods, there is a huge business opportunity for India. We have the advantage of having a large raw material base in this country, be it pulses, be it oilseeds, be it cereals, pseudo-cereals, millets. We are among the top producers in the world. So we have a huge range of produce that is available. If we can convert it into niche products, there is a huge market. Convenience foods. Again, here I would like to say that CFTRI was one of the first institutes where we worked on convenience foods. Earlier, just making gulab jamun would probably take the whole day. And now within half an hour, you are able to make it. That is the kind of convenience that we get from these mixes. So there is again a growing market in this area. Recently, the institute came out with a convenience ragi mudde mix, which is the staple for South Karnataka. And but the kind of skill and time that is involved, more and more people have stopped eating ragi mudde. And so the institute made this mix where you just mix it with water and you put it in an idli platter, and in 10 minutes you have your ragi mudde. So you don't have to stop eating the traditional staple food. And it will be warm also. So we have also made a machine, a ragi mudde machine that is there in Indra canteens, and you can have this. So you can have a large number of muddes in a very short time. Again, a growing market. So this is a very, very treasure house, I can say, which India is having. We have a huge legacy of traditional foods, including Ayurveda, which is being kind of used to create value in our food, and nobody else in the world has this. So if we are only able to validate the kind of health claims that are attributed to these foods, and we are able to extend the shelf life and ensure its safety, then we can be the world leaders of such foods. There is a huge biodiversity again in India that is available in the 20 agroclimatic zones. Each community has its own secrets, they have their own recipes. It is time that we looked at our traditional knowledge and tapped this resource to create niche market globally. Again, it is a billion-dollar market. Unfortunately, only the validation of claims is missing. In India, we still follow it because we listen to our grandmothers or our parents, but the world is not really obliged to listen to us. So unless scientifically we are able to validate these claims, we will not be able to find a global market. Again, there are a few issues like a lot of heavy metal contamination that does come into these foods, which we need to take care. The byproducts of the industry, one example I have given due to shortage of time, but for many of the cereals, we do polish them and we remove the bran. The bran layers are good sources of fiber. So if we are able to just extract the fiber, whether it is insoluble or soluble, there is a huge market that is available. Again, the institute has been able to successfully separate out the soluble and insoluble fiber from wheat bran, which is a byproduct of the flour milling industry. And this has a huge market outside. I think it costs something like 3,000 rupees per 1 gram. And we have been able to do it for something like 800 rupees. So there is a possibility of India also capturing, because we are again one of the leading producers of wheat. So if we are able to get these kind of ingredients, again there is a huge business opportunity that is available, and it is a growing business. All of these are showing year-on-year increase. So whether it is a food product or a food ingredient, we will be able to create the right kind of markets. Again, these fibers are also known as prebiotics. That is, they encourage the growth of probiotics bacteria in our gut, which are the beneficial bacteria. The gut microbiome, what is there in each one of us, is thought to be the second brain. For every one human cell, there are around 9 to 10 bacterial cells in our body. They are determining how healthy you are or how diseased you are. So if you keep your gut microbiome healthy, every chance is that you will remain healthy throughout your life. So these prebiotic molecules are the food for the probiotics. So if we eat food or have a diet which is beneficial for the gut microbiome to stay healthy, there is every chance that we shall remain healthy. I think 9 out of 10 queries every day that our institute gets at least is on vegan meat, that is mock meat or plant proteins. So this is a hugely growing market, and there is demand, especially in Europe, Japan, and the US, even Israel. All of them are working towards replacing animal meat with plant proteins. So the reason is that the amount of resources that is required and the kind of environmental damage just rearing animals for food is very huge, and our planet is getting affected very badly. And so we are looking at plant proteins as a source of protein. Again, India is a major producer, and there is a lot of scope if we are able to at least concentrate the protein, because plant proteins usually have substances that we call anti-nutrients. And these anti-nutrients hinder the digestibility and absorption of protein. Most plant proteins are storage proteins and therefore they are higher molecular weight. When you are giving it to the elderly or for children, the digestibility can get affected. Also, the animal would have eaten the plant and then it would have rebuilt the protein so that it is better digestible, and the essential amino acids are very similar to our human needs. But when you are eating plant, you may not get the same benefit. The quality of protein may be different. Therefore, it is necessary for us to do some scientific innovations to ensure that it mimics animal protein to at least some extent. And again, the market is a huge one and it is growing. We have a lot of underutilized seeds and grains in our country, which can be diversified for these kind of products. Millets, we are celebrating the International Year of Millets, and there are several products even in the stalls I was just seeing before coming here. There are huge number of entrepreneurs who have started making these products. Unfortunately, again, we notice that many of them are only looking at recipes. So when I make food at home, in the morning I make it, afternoon I myself don't want to eat it, right? Because it has already stale. So when you look at a recipe, this is what happens. The shelf life is not really extended. We need to look at it scientifically, how to extend the shelf life. Now, a food technologist often plays around with 4 or 5 factors only. One is the temperature. This we use so that the microbial safety is ensured, digestibility is increased, some of the anti-nutrients are destroyed, which means that the bioavailability of the nutrients is also increased because the digestibility is increased, the palatability increases. So one is temperature, the other one is pH. Below a certain pH, you find that many of the pathogenic organisms will not grow. So the shelf life is extended. A third factor would be reducing the moisture content. Below a certain moisture, many undesirable reactions are controlled. And the fourth one is the use of additives. Sometimes we use emulsifiers, sometimes we use preservatives, sometimes colors, flavors, all of this we play around with to ensure that the shelf life is increased. So it is not, food processing does not just involve a recipe. And especially with millets, which has a very active lipase in the outer layers, what happens is when you use the whole millet to make a product, there is every chance that it will not have a shelf life beyond 1 or 2 months and rancid flavors are going to develop. So scientific and technological innovations are required to see what is the optimal level of polishing where you are going to retain the health benefits as well as the nutrients, at the same time inactivate the lipase, and then only you can get a shelf life of upward of 6 months, and that will then find an export market. Otherwise, millets are probably going to stay very region specific and will not even find all pan-India market, forget about the export market. So how does somebody really go about once they have realized that, okay, we have a business opportunity and I want to start a business through value addition in the food space? First of all, we need to really understand at the lab level whether it is even possible. Then there is a huge kind of a challenge to scale it up to the industry level. Often we find that when you have made it in the lab level, it works. But when you try to scale it up to industrial level, the product fails. Therefore, it is essential that the academic R&D institutes should hold hands with the industry. And the industry should realize this potential and try to come to the R&D institutes, because there is a huge knowledge base that is available over a period of time that has been already accumulated. So rather than reinventing the wheel by each entrepreneur, it is better to take the help of academic R&D institutions. And also, when you look for exports, you often find that each country is having specifications. All of them are different. America has one kind, Europe has another kind, Thailand may have a third kind, Nepal may have a fourth kind. So it is not necessarily only the food safety that they are thinking about, but they may be trying to protect their own indigenous crops, and therefore they are putting certain barriers. So only academic R&D institutions and policymakers can help entrepreneurs to overcome these hurdles and go forward. And also, we can help to understand the supply chain. Often you may have the best possible product from buckwheat, but if buckwheat is not available, how are you going to process it? How are you going to supply to the demand that you have created even? Also, there may be many varieties that are there, and each variety may be behaving differently. The amount of bran that is there may be very different in one variety. So all of this needs to be addressed, and that is what academia can help entrepreneurs with. Further, identification of the right equipment, the kind of claims that are required. Often we put claims on the labels which are illegal. We say it is good for the heart, but we would not have done any studies to prove it. So that becomes a legal problem. So again, these studies can be done by R&D institutions. And finally, consistency in the quality and the safety. Often, because there are varietal differences as per season, as per soil where the grain is grown, you may get different taste or sensory quality depending on which batch has been used. So to have that uniform quality, to maintain that safety, to have consistency in the product, it is necessary that we are hand-holding. So again, from the regulatory point of view also, we can help, and the quality assurance. Testing is extremely important. Many of the methods and tests that are used require sophisticated equipment. They are expensive. So R&D institutes can help in these. So if startups, and I see more and more startups are coming up, it is good that the proof of concept at least is validated, and then only take up that idea rather than coming from the kitchen directly into the space. Always make sure that if many of these institutes are today having incubation centers, so you don't have to really invest in the machinery or in the quality analysis and so on. They can help you, and scientists are there who are going to mentor also. So this knowledge hand-holding will definitely help in bringing out better products. And once you have created a market, then it will become easy to export also, and India will get recognized in that space. But if you fail, then there is every chance that the entire space will be occupied by some other country, and it would be that much harder to get into the market. There are also many government schemes that help many of the entrepreneurs. Just a little about my institute. So not only the product and technology development, we also do a lot of training and even skilling of anybody from farmers to entrepreneurs to students. We have short-term training programs. We are the nodal referral laboratory for the country, and we do 500 plus tests in any kind of food that is possible. And we also have pilot plants. We have 12 pilot plants where which can be hired out and can be used by entrepreneurs. We have experts in sensory evaluation, and consumer acceptance studies can be made. Packaging development, we can advise you on the right kind of package. We can also help you to design the package that is required as per your food product. So these are some of the things that CFTRA especially can offer. We have technology packages. We are able to support you for setting up the plant, training, quality assurance, identification of the machinery. We can also do intervention studies even for health benefits, and we can advise you on cost-effective nutritional alternatives and so on. So these are some of the things that are available on our website. We also have free technologies. You can simply register and download the entire dossier, and you can start your product manufacture. You can even come for a demonstration on a very nominal charge. We have incubation space also. We also do a lot of farmer-centric programs, especially under the PMFME scheme. And thanks to the funding that we have received, we have also set up 2 lines in coffee and banana. And you can utilize these machines for converting into value-added products and take it out and sell it under your own brand. Similarly, a Center of Excellence on Millets is also coming up with 9 different lines in the institute. This year that will be ready, and again there will be incubation space. Further, a BioNest is also there, and very soon we will be having a large number of startups in the institute. So we also help in livelihood generation in villages to help them become more and more sustainable and have a kind of circular economy with zero waste thing. So these are some of the successes. You will find many of the products like minimally processed cut vegetables in the big basket if you order it with the CFTRI Nutri-Lock, virgin coconut oil, coffee concentrate, and the ragi mudde machine, the dosa machine. All of these are prototypes that were developed in the institute, the idli dosa batter and so on. So these are some of the machines. So we have technology packages of more than 400 products, and our base of entrepreneurs is more than 4,500. Thank you.